Many Democrats are angry. Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, they are registering as Republicans. And I don't know if there's an actual hard metric on how many people are actually doing this, but there's tons of videos, so it's a bit anecdotal. But I do believe this is a massive detriment to the Democratic Party. They are desperate to spin this. That's why Jimmy Kimmel is lying. That's why some of these prominent liberal podcasters are lying, because they know regular people are terrified that the motivations published so far by the police, everything that appears to be true, is that the assassin of Charlie Kirk was motivated by gender ideology and left-leaning ideology. We've yet to see exactly how the trial will play out, but based on what we are seeing, seems to be the case. Now, there are questions about what's really going on in the case. There are conspiracies abound. I'll cover those later. But I think it's fair to say that the probable outcome is this guy was motivated by mainstream, moderate Democrat ideology when he killed Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk himself was a moderate conservative. The things he espoused were run-of-the-mill Christian, to be completely honest. It was fairly standard, middle of the road. And Charlie was nice and welcoming to even people he disagreed with. And he'd welcome them to debate him or even come on a stage. Democrats, regular voters, see what's happening. These Democrats, even right now, are attacking Kash Patel, the J6 committee, the lies, the manipulations. It has become apparent. But more than anything, the videos of people celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk has resulted in run-of-the-mill Democrats saying they out. So I have a prediction. I believe that this is going to swing things for the Republicans in the midterms. I know we're still a year away from the midterms. I genuinely fear there will be another assassination or terror attack about a year from now. And I'll get into greater detail on why I think that will be the case in just a moment. But let's first start by reading the story from the New York Post. And in true nightmare dystopian fashion, make sure you head over to castbrew.com and pick up some coffee. This helps support the show, the work that we do. So you can also just go to castbrew.com. We got a bunch of great flavors. Everybody loves Ian's Graphene Dream. It's a low acidity coffee. And I am fully cognizant of the nightmare reality in which we are talking about social disorder and collapse and assassinations and taking time to promote a product. But you guys, the economy, it makes the world go around, right? Household management, as we call it. So if you want to support our work, castbrew.com. Here's a story from the New York Post. Disgusted, ex-Democrats registering Republican after Charlie Kirk murder. Evil is walking among us. The Republican Party is seeing a Charlie Kirk effect, with moderate Democrats and independents switching party affiliation at breakneck speed. Freshly emancipated from former Dems told the Post they were horrified by the assassination of the 31-year-old podcaster last week, who they thought of as kind and reasonable, and further disgusted by the ghoulish celebration of his killing by many lefties. Scheffler Zepeda, a 31-year-old avocado farmer and software entrepreneur from California, was among them. I'm switching parties to protest. I understand that the right also has certain character flaws, but it doesn't culminate in sympathy for political violence. They are correct. They try to claim that we are not condemning the violence or calling for things to simmer down. Of course we are. Every prominent person associated with the right. I say that because conservative and liberal, what does it even mean anymore? We have all said we don't want violence. It is not okay. Now, the thing about Charlie is he was a moderate, and that's a shock to the system. So, yeah, they're celebrating. You know what I find funny about these videos where they celebrate is that they're acting like demons from movies, like The Exorcist, where they're shaking and one guy slapping his neck, laughing and maniacally. There are videos where people are cackling like cartoon demons. I think people are starting to get freaked out by it. Attempted assassinations of presidential candidates, public executions of healthcare CEOs, and political influencers seems to be in line with what leftists want, he said. After all, in revolutionary socialist doctrine, political violence is necessary and justified, which is why we see so many people trying to intellectualize these assassinations in the first place. I just simply cannot align with the direction things are going in. Christopher Elton, 56, a restaurant manager from Bucks County, PA, told the Post Kirk's death definitely encouraged him to register as a Republican last week. Man, there's more peace on the right compared to the left, and I'm almost embarrassed for voting left in my life. I always I was always more of a policy voter than party affiliated. I slowly moved toward faith and religion and Jesus and learned a lot through Charlie Kirk. He wasn't argumentative. He brought you facts. If he was wrong, he'd be the first one to say it. The post-assassination surge into the Republican tent has been so pronounced that even state GOPs noticed an upswing. The rate of Republican registration in Florida tripled in recent days. Since Charlie was killed, we've been seeing about 600 new Republican voters a day, Florida GOP Chair Evan Power told the Post. We usually average about 200 a day, so 600 is a much bigger number. It's a big deal. It's one thing to be a no-party affiliation voter when it seemed like everyone was getting along, but now we're under attack. Crucial swing state Pennsylvania saw a similar surge after Kirk's killing. Republican voter registration doubled that week compared to previous averages. The Keystone State clocked 2,148 new GOPers the week ending September 13. So let's take a look at the prediction markets. And I'm actually surprised to see this. We have which party will win the House next year? Kalshi's prediction market. For those unfamiliar, basically the way this works is that you can buy shares of yes and no. So you can buy no to Democrat, yes to Democrat, no to Republican, yes to Republican. And right now, surprisingly, the Democratic Party's chance has only dropped 1 point. This actually surprised me. I had thought that with this news and the assassination, it would swing wildly in favor of Republicans. I have a prediction. The first thing I will say is that predictions a year out are worthless because the amount of variables between now and then are so great that the probability becomes exponentially diminished. So if I were to say something like tomorrow, the sun will rise, there are no variables in between now and then, giving you a 99.9999% chance or greater. I mean, 9 to ad infinitum. Not 100% because nothing's absolute. Now, a year from now, if I said the sun will rise, it's going to be 99.999999998. There are infinitely more variables. But to be fair, ain't nobody betting against the sun betting against the sun rising. The sun's going to rise. But we can make it much more simple. Like if I said that there would be a catastrophic earthquake, or if I said, maybe let's bring it to the realm of possibility. If I said the postman will make it here today, the probability is likely 98%. If I said next year the postman will not make it, there are so many variables in between that actually the chance that he doesn't make it grows to a greater degree. So I'm going to say it like this. The reason why I'm presenting this caveat, my prediction is there will be at least one more political assassination. It will happen within about a year from now. That's my view. And I would give the probability of this happening about 6%. Really low. But the reason I say it is because everything else is lower. With all of the variables between now and then, we don't know exactly what will happen, but let me lay out my case. Right now, the Democrats are bleeding voters. This we can see. The data is showing it. They were already losing voters for some time, and Donald Trump won. Republicans have the House and the Senate. They've got the presidency and the Supreme Court. Democrats have struggled to maintain a message and any coherent position. Now, with the assassination of Kirk, they're going to hurt even more. Now, the question then becomes, why was Charlie Kirk assassinated? Well, according to the messages that got released, and I understand, let me just stress as an in-between, the messages clearly look transposed and not genuine. Some people believe the FBI faked it. I think it's more likely the shooter faked it, considering other trans people appeared to have knowledge of the attack. So it seems like there is more planning to this than we realize, and even the FBI is investigating this discord. So it may be a terror cell with great planning. But that being said, in the messages, the individual said some hate can't be negotiated with. Take it with a grain of salt. There are a lot of theories out there, but this is at least the simple solution, right? Okay. This individual, by all reason, appears to have been motivated by desperation. Charlie Kirk was winning. He was expanding his footprint. If this turns out to be a greater group that was doing this, the logic stands. Democrats are losing. Charlie Kirk is winning. Turning Point is growing. Violence is an act of desperation. You do not create a martyr when you are winning. So with Charlie Kirk being killed, and now people quitting the Democratic Party over this, the desperation will continue. But look, desperate people thrash about. It doesn't mean that they're going to succeed, but they'll try anything. They're grasping at straws, as it were. A year from now, we'll be entering the midterm cycle. And the Democrats are likely, in my opinion, going to face a very disfavorable political environment. left activists who rely on the Democratic Party to espouse their views, gender ideology, are going to be further entrenched. They're going to be more desperate. I believe this creates a strong probability as of today, based on the current things we are seeing. Granted, I give it a very low probability that as the Republican Party gains a stronger foothold and the polls swing in their favor, Democrats are going to start saying, we are going to lose. The more extreme factions are going to say, this is it. The fascists are about to win. Probability, in my view, strongest probability is that far left extremists say we have to stop them now before it's too late, and you will likely get more political violence leading to the death of another prominent conservative personality, be it politician or otherwise. The result from that will be an exponential entrenchment of Republican values. This will result in the Republicans winning the midterms, and thus the far left will lose their minds, and we will see the escalation of insurgent violence. Now let's slow down. As I already stated, I view the probability of this as being very low, around like 6%, meaning the likelihood of literally anything else happening is substantially greater. From now until then, things can change. Donald Trump can slip and fall and bonk his head and then get taken out of the president. Like, I'm not saying seriously. I'm just saying something may happen medically and Trump may leave. J.D. Vance comes in. Flubs thinks, who knows? But right now, the trajectory, there is a path. Imagine it like this. There are a million strands of yarn. And as time moves forward, they all get wound into a single thread. And that single thread is the path of greatest probability. At any point, a different thread can be the path that we take. And there's millions of them. There is one straight ahead that seems probable, and that is an escalation of violence. Why? For one, the past dictates the future to a certain degree. There is an escalation before us, so there's no reason to believe things will de-escalate as things have carried on thus far. Additionally, it's resulted in Democrats losing standing, and they've already been losing standing. Factoring in these variables, it stands to reason the desperation will continue. There will be some form of tit-for-tat street violence. Ultimately, next summer, there may be an extremist attack on a conservative in some way, out of desperation and fear from gender ideologues and leftist activists who feel that they're about to lose all semblance of power, and they will not tolerate a conservative victory. Now, I don't know everything, and I'm wrong quite a bit. What I will say is I have only somewhat accurately predicted things. That is to say, my predictions are often close but not on point. The example that I've used recently is that I said in September of 2020 that if Trump loses in November, his supporters will storm the White House. Certainly nobody in November stormed the White House, but January 6th, Trump supporters did storm the Capitol. I'm not saying it was organized or an insurrection or anything like that, but my general assessment was close. So I don't know exactly what will happen, and I believe it's fair to say that the likelihood of this happening is slim to none. But based on what we are seeing, I expect desperation to rise among Democrats. I expect people to lose their minds. So I hope not. But we will see. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Cast Brew Coffee. Hey, Nightmare Dystopia, huh? Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.